Coach, obviously a lot of people will look at South Carolina's record, but I'm sure you guys studied them a lot more than just the record. They haven't won as much, but they played more consistent lately and played better ball. What have you seen from them lately?
Yeah, they're coming off a heartbreaking loss on the road, a game that could have went either way at Georgia. Obviously, like all of us, when you lose a game like that, it's, a gut punch, and you got to regroup, and it's a quick turnaround for both of us. But they're got really good players. They run good stuff. When they're playing their best, they're shooting the ball from the three and making a lot of threes, and most of their wins, it seems like their three-point total is much higher than in their losses. And if they look at us, which obviously they are, they know that we've struggled defending the three recently. And so it's something that we'll continue to talk about. We'll continue to try to shore up our defense in that regard, because if you don't, them being at home, etc., that could be a difference maker during the game.
We'll stay front row and go to Steph to coach's left.
Chris, kind of following up on that, Gregory Jackson's the guy that, kind of sets the tone for them as a freshman. What have you seen from him, to have this type of impact his first year in the SEC, and I guess how do you try to slow down a guy like that?
Yeah, he's a load. He's just does it in a variety of ways. That's what's so difficult to prepare for is, he's got that size and body walking in the door, but he's got such his game has a variety to it. He can shoot the three off the catch, off the bounce. He can drive the ball and go either direction. He's got a nice mid-post game where he can take smaller guys that are matched up on him, and he can, shoot a little fadeaway or get all the way to the rim and try to bully ball you a little bit. And he plays with supreme confidence. So, he's their leading scorer, and even as a freshman, and definitely will get our full attention. But it won't be one guy's responsibility. It'll be our whole team trying to, get him off his sweet spots as best we can.
Go back to the cameras and John.
Hey, Chris. With your guys coming off such a big win against, the number 11 team, and then against South Carolina right after that, a team that hasn't had its best season, how confident are you in your guys to, not overlook them as an opponent on Tuesday night?
I certainly hope that we wouldn't do that, considering where we're at and how we need to get an SEC win in the worst way. And it's been addressed. We met last night to try to, reset the week, if you will. Certainly watched clips of the TCU game, good, bad, and ugly, like we always do. Take a little break and then, set the tone for the scout for South Carolina. It was more of a mental day than anything else, but I made sure that they understood that what their program is thinking about right now. They have us, who doesn't have a glossy record, coming into their gym, and they're in the same mode as we are, just hungry to get a win, and we have to go to their place. And what we can't fall into the trap of is, we played pretty well against Alabama on the road in a game that, woulda, coulda, shoulda, and then turn around and play the 11th ranked team at home. And it's easy to get motivated when you're playing those kind of teams. Every competitor knows when you're playing teams that, will move the needle a little bit, you should be super motivated in your preparation and in your play. And then when you play a team that maybe doesn't have the ranking behind their name or as glossy a record, sometimes it's human nature to, just be overconfident. And certainly I don't think our guys have any reason to be overconfident, but we made them well aware of having the right mindset last night with just mental focus, and then certainly this afternoon before we get on the plane of having a really good practice and just getting us all on the same page with playing the way we need to play and just being super focused and trying to get a win.
We'll come back to the front row to coaches Wright and Theo and Paul.
Yeah, you mentioned meeting last night. Did your guys seem to have the bounce in their step that you kind of predicted after the TCU game, and what did you kind of see from them coming off of that big win?
They did. they were borderline giddy at times, which was cool. The football games were kind of going on, and we were keeping tabs on that a little bit. But they were also probably giddy because they knew we were doing anything physical. And they seemed to get a little more excited when they know we're not taped up, so they know we're not going to be physically going against one another. And I think they enjoy those practices probably better than the other ones. So I think it was a combination of all of it. But they definitely were good. They were really good. They were serious when they needed to be serious and locked in when they needed to be locked in.
In the last game, and I know things can change from week to week, but with Eric Reed struggling, you went with NJ some. How do you think he handled those minutes against a ranked team?
He didn't do anything eye-popping. Either way, though. He had the one nice cut that the ball got tipped a little bit, and he couldn't gather it in before trying to go up and finish it, but it was a really nice cut. A couple of the coaches commented, and I think the same, that he looked comfortable. He didn't look wide-eyed or out of his element. And, when you're going through what you're going through, like we talked about heading into the game, I said I needed to play some more guys and give some people some opportunities, and it was MJ's crack at it, and I thought he handled it pretty well.
Go ahead, Steph.
Obviously, the last few times out, it seems like Deshaun Davis is starting to find a groove and get some increased minute. I think 35-plus minutes in each game, I guess. How excited does it make you to have a veteran guy like that, starting to find his stroke, at the right time of the season?
Yeah, it's what we've needed all year long, and I'm not a excuse guy, and that's everyone knows that, I think. But that injury set him back. I mean, that's hard. You go a whole month of not practicing and try to play, you're bound to get out of shape. And he's finally to the point where he can play heavy minutes like that and still be, playing at a productive level. And he wasn't up until about a week ago, in my opinion. We'd have to really monitor, keeping him in there too long for long stretches. His quality of play would dip too much when we did that. And both him and Shaq, to be honest with you, are sometimes reluctant to shoot the three. Shaq, and it's real easy for me to say it. I'm not out there with those long guys running at you either. But to us, he turns down some open threes, and Deshaun, we felt like even during the game, I was in his ear individually saying, man, when you step into that shot on a pass, catch and shoot type opportunity, you got to burn it. You got to let it go. We need you to step up and make those shots. And in the end, I think they both made 4 threes or 7 combined. I know Rams made 4. I thought Shaq maybe made 3. But they made some timely ones. That's what we were missing in some of those close losses. It didn't seem like we were hitting the timely shots, and both Rams and Shaq made some big ones down the stretch.
Got time for a couple more. We'll go back to Theo.
Yeah, Keyshawn Murphy's minutes have dipped a little bit lately. What have you thought of his progression this year, particularly on defense, where I know you wanted him to make some strides?
That's the one position where we actually have probably as much or more depth than we do anywhere else. So it's a little tough for those guys at times because, obviously Cameron Matthews has been a big rotation guy, starter, for the majority of the season and plays a lot of minutes most nights. And then you got Tyler Stevenson, who's, a grizzled veteran, if you will, and Keyshawn. And, he's going to have other opportunities here. There are decisions that we have to make each and every night, and they're tough decisions to make. But like the whole team, and I said it in post game, but individually, his attitude has been awesome. He's stayed the course. He continues to work. He continues to be a good teammate. He knows what he needs to do to get on the floor. And there's other guys that want minutes, and some of them deserve some minutes. But you can only play 5 at a time. There's only 200 minutes to go around in each particular game, and every coach in America has to make some tough decisions like that.
Go back to the second row and Danny P.
I know you haven't got to see a lot of the road venues in the SEC yet, but you have been to Georgia, Tennessee, and obviously Alabama. Is there anything different about the SEC road games that you've noticed since you've been in the league?
Not really. Not really. I mean, they've been good. I mean, they've been well attended. There's certainly a lot of school pride across the board, and I love being in those charged environments. I love when it's packed and the students are on you, and like when we went to Alabama the other day. I mean, there was a charged environment. I mean, those students were into it. They were ready. We had a hard time even getting our bus to where we needed to go because of them waiting at the doors to get in, and it's just fun to play in those environments, and I'm assuming there'll be a lot of those as we go through the rest of the SEC.
And then Steph, wrap us up.
Obviously it's been a tough stretch, at least shooting the ball for DJ the last few times out. I guess what are you maybe seeing with some of his struggles, and I guess the message to, it was around this time last year he had similar struggles, and then really seemed to turn around when February started.
Hopefully that happens again. Maybe February is his month, but hey, if you would watch us practice or watch him get extra shots up, I mean, it looks good. I mean, he's making them in practice. He's working on his game. He's not letting it frustrate him to the point where he's not defending and rebounding the ball, especially on the defensive end. And because if he was, then his minutes would go down. But he's not doing that. He's still a valuable member, obviously, of our basketball team, and does a lot of good things for us. But certainly it would help all of us, if the three ball would go down for him at a little better clip. And the one thing that I've been trying to get him to buy into is use his length and his size and his ability to get in the paint to create for others. He can get in that lane, not at will, but very often, and he's got the length and the vision to make the right pass. And so we're continuing to work with him to try to get in there and create for some others and be kind of that point forward, if you will.